What is going on, everyone? This is JABO, your pit stop quick one-stop shop for all things NASCAR and other sports that are just a bit outside. I'm your host, Brendan Bryan, and let's get started. More clutch performances and upsets this week. Top contenders struggle while underdogs take the spotlight, starting off with the NASCAR Xfinity Series. As expected, the Saturday show at Las Vegas in the Xfinity Series started off calm, too calm. The double zero of Cole Custer and the 7 of Justin Allgaier both won stage 1 and 2, collecting valuable stage points. However, things changed in the final stage. On the initial restart of the final stage, a stack up would send the 19 of Taylor Gray around, but would also collect playoff driver, the 8 of Sammy Smith, who would gain a large amount of nose damage that would just effectively end his day, and he would limp home to a 32nd place finish. Following the caution, a new player would work his way to the lead in the form of playoff driver the 16 of AJ Allmendinger. And once he took the lead, he looked like he just couldn't be beat. However, late in the race, the 16 would be run down by, no one really could guess this, the 28 of Ryan Sieg, who looked to clearly have the faster car, if not on the looser side, as he would get very, very loose underneath Allmendinger while trying to take the lead from Allmendinger with only a few laps to go. After getting loose underneath Allmendinger while taking the lead, the 28 was sizing up another run at Allmendinger for the pass and for the win until the final caution came out, strangely enough, for Sammy Smith, who just stopped on the track and he was done. That's about it. This gave Sieg and Allmendinger only a couple of laps to duel for the win. However, Allmendinger would be the one to get the jump on the restart and just stay a car length ahead of Sieg. He was digging hard in that last lap, especially the last turn, preventing an even bigger upset than his own for his first win of the year, which could definitely not come at a better time as it locks him into the championship race at Phoenix. Allmendinger was, per usual after a win, ecstatic, and why wouldn't he be? He gets another coveted shot at a championship, and it was also his team owner's, Matt Collig's, birthday. So, happy birthday, Mr. Collig. With Allmendinger coming from below the cut line to snatch a clutch win, it leaves the playoff picture uneasy, as those above are not really that safe, and those below have real chances to strike at any moment to snatch a playoff spot. With the 21 of Austin Hill and the 2 of Jesse Love making great recoveries to get top 10 finishes when they really were just mid-pack to even sub-20th place cars, to remain only mere points under the cut line. However, for Sammy Smith and his teammate, the 1 of Sam Mayer, is going to take a win. They in a big hole, and they're going to need to win to advance, something neither of them are strangers to, as they both did that same feat in the round of 12. The NASCAR Cup Series on Sunday took on Las Vegas, and it was seemingly going to be a duel between the 20 of Christopher Bell and the 45 of Tyler Reddick. Also randomly during the first stage, the 31 of Daniel Hemrick just devastated the 3 of Austin Dillon, turning him head on into the wall in turn 3, while racing competitively for some nowhere position like they are in the point standings. Maybe Hemrick is mad about being replaced by the less talented Ty Dillon next year, and Austin, his brother, was close enough of a Dillon to take out some vengeance or something, or maybe both drivers suck. I don't know. Reddick would win stage 1 while the 12 of Ryan Blaney was recovering from early setbacks in the weekend that would force him to start last in the race, but he had made his way up inside the top 20 by the end of stage 1. On the contrary, the 11 of Denny Hamlin just seemingly had no pace again and was struggling to stay in the top 15 at times, and as Dale Jarrett pointed out during the broadcast, the 11 teamers just seemingly allergic to stage points, which is not a good way to advance on points to Phoenix. However, after stage 1, that's when the real chaos began, as the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. had an old man moment and aimlessly drifted up high on the exit of turn 3 into playoff driver, the 9 of Chase Elliott, and pushed him up the track into Reddick off of turn 3, causing a multi-car incident that included not only Elliott and Reddick, but also Ryan Blaney, who was making his way through the field, with Reddick literally flipping from the accident, which is hard to do on a mile and a half, to say the least. And he stuck the landing, and I thought he had a chance to keep going, but it started doing the wibble wobble, and that would essentially be it for his day. And for the other two, it would be sub 30th place finishes. Bell would go on to win stage two and dominate most of the final stage, but Bell's path wouldn't be as clear as it seemed. Using strategy, a multitude of cars would stretch the gas on the final run of the race, led by the 99 of Daniel Suarez, who was eliminated from the playoffs only a week ago. Playoff drivers, the 22 of Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin, would also stay out, stretching the field and hoping to get lucky. At first, it was seemingly a good call, as Bell, after his final pit stop, would be over 30 seconds behind the leader, almost a lap. However, Bell began closing the gap by over a second a lap, and in the closing laps, it looked like mathematically he could easily catch the leaders. Seeing Bell close, Logano went on the attack and was aided by his ailing teammate Ryan Blaney, who was fast enough to push Logano down the straightaways, gaining on Suarez. Logano and his crew chief Paul Wolfe are some of the best at fuel conservation, and they seemingly had no worries pushing the car when mathematically it was a gamble. With only a handful of laps to go, Logano would be boosted by Suarez, who was in total fuel conservation mode, but Bell continued to close the gap, under a second, taking the white flag. However, entering turn 3, Bell's outside move would be aero blocked by Ryan Blaney, which would allow his teammate, Joey Logano, to hold on and win his way into the championship round. I'm not superstitious, but I'm just a little stitious. Every even number year since 2014, Logano has made the Final Four, which is crazy. And even crazier than that, every time that he has made it to the Final Four since 2018, he has done so by winning the first race of the round of 8, while winning the 2018 and 2022 championships in the process. In fact, in 2022, when this last happened, Logano passed a Trackhouse car, the one of Ross Chastain, for the win in the closing laps at Las Vegas for the win. And he did it again on Sunday, passing Daniel Suarez. It's deja vu. I don't know what he's on, but I would love to have some. He is simultaneously the luckiest driver in the field and the most clutch, just being able to outperform his statistics and equipment and beat everyone, no matter the situation and forces working against him. As Harvick noted about fellow driver Jimmy Johnson years ago, he has a golden horseshoe shoved up a particular body part, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. I don't know if anyone can beat him. I don't know if you can bet against the guy. This is 2022 vibes all over again. I'm just going to call it now just to be safe. Place a safe bet right now, because even year Joey Logano is going to do it again, it seems. He's going to win it. It's prophetic. It's divine intervention. It's inevitable. What a mad lad. Before anyone asks, if he wins this championship, he does deserve it. This is not an illegitimate champion by far. He has had to outperform his equipment and win against the best of the best when it mattered most, and being lucky to boot. And if he does it again at Phoenix, praise be to Logano, king of the elimination-style playoffs, who also now has the most appearances ever in the Final Four by any driver at 6. With lucky Logano's win, the playoff picture is absolutely clear. Those below the cut line being Hamlin, Reddick, Blaney, and Elliott, they need to win. And those above need to stay out of trouble and hope that no one below wins. Unless catastrophe or triumph strikes, this round of 4 is essentially set, and Lord Logano will reign once more over the NASCAR realm. Dear God save us. Oh, I almost forgot. Against any conceivable metric, LaJoie has tied up the Haley LaJoie driver swap series at 2 apiece after Las Vegas, with a 14th place finish based on fuel strategy, while Haley, a top 10 contender all day, finished 17th on the same strategy as Christopher Bell. Only 3 races remain, giving each driver equal chance to top the other, even though this really shouldn't even be close. Let the chaos roll on to Homestead, where LaJoie is the only one between the two, with a stout top 20 finish at the track, which is appropriately a 20th place finish. Let the talent shine on through. In other news from NASCAR, there is a lot this week, so strap in. First off, Rackley War Racing in the NASCAR Truck Series has announced that Dawson Sutton will be joining the team full-time in 2025, after an impressive 5th place finish at Kansas in his first start with the team. The soon-to-be 19-year-old looks to return speed to the 25 team after an ill-advised Ty Dillon bender this year. But someone else will also be joining Rackley War, being Kevin Harvick, who will be a consultant for the team in 2025. The 2014 Cup Series champion will also be bringing his son along, Keelan, who will be entering Rackley War's Super Late Model and Pro Late Model programs. The Ty Dillon hangover is over. Time to get back to racing. Ryan Ellis will be driving for DGM next year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, following a multi-year tenure with Alpha Prime Racing. The 34-year-old looks to improve next year, only having a best finish of 11th twice. JGR is landing a big sponsor in the form of the Campbell's Soup Company. That's right, all the soups. With rumors of FedEx essentially leaving the team starting next year, Campbell's Soup will essentially fill that void and provide some large backing from one of NASCAR's top teams. Speaking of JGR, two-time ARCA champion William Sawalich is being promoted to the Xfinity Series in 2025, replacing Sheldon Creed in the 18 car. The expectations for Sawalich are simple. Do what Creed is allergic to. Win. A relatively new NASCAR Cup team that's kind of run under the radar announced that it will be expanding operations for the 2025 season. What used to be known as the Money Team, owned by boxer Floyd Mayweather Jr., was purchased by, who else, a first-grade school teacher and her husband, a retired construction equipment salesman. The team is based in Highland, New York, and has been rebranded to Team AmeriVet. Over the last few years, the team has only participated in a handful of events, with the best finish of 23rd, with driver Kaz Grala in the 2022 Coke 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The team looks to expand its schedule to, quote, 15 to 17 races in the 2025 season. No word yet of the driver or sponsors for this budding organization. I just cannot wait to see them on track. I always love seeing new faces, so I hope the best for them. I do not think anyone saw this coming, but actor Frankie Muniz, best known for his role as Malcolm in the Middle, is going full-time truck racing in 2025 with Rheaume Brothers Racing, driving the 33 truck. The 38-year-old is living the dream, and he honestly is not a scrub either, as he has run one full-time ARCAS campaign in 2023, finishing 4th in the overall standings. He has made 2 truck starts with Rheaume this year in the Truck Series, but not to great fanfare or results. But that is expected. Rheaume is definitely not known for their speed and competitiveness, with the best organizational finish of 4th at the 2019 Eldora Dirt Race. But they do have a 5th place finish this year at Talladega's Fall Race, which may be a sign of things to come. Regardless, I hope Malcolm will be in the middle of all of it next year, and I'm definitely rooting for him. And against all odds, I hope he does well, and heck, why doesn't he go out there and win it all? Go get him, Malcolm. Finally, we just have some really great news coming from NASCAR. For context, back in 1971, NASCAR fields had trouble fielding enough cars for the race. NASCAR's solution was to have cars from the Grand American Series, or cars smaller than Cup Series cars, run alongside the big boys. However, there was an issue to this, believe it or not. What happened if a non-Cup car won the race? Would it count for, that series or for the Cup Series? Well, in short, the answer is there was no winner, and it would not count in the history books, though you would keep the trophy and prize money. However, today that changes, as NASCAR CEO Jim France and senior advisor Mike Helton announced that Bobby Allison's win at Bowman Gray in 1971 will finally count in the record books. The NASCAR Hall of Famer and leading member of racing's Alabama gang, Bobby Allison won the Bowman Gray race over 53 years ago, running his Grand American car rather than his Grand National, today known as the Cup Series, car. With this announcement, it brings his total win count to 85, which is already a lot, but it also breaks a tie with rival Darrell Waltrip for solo 4th all time, only behind Jeff Gordon, David Pearson, and Richard Petty. As someone who had the pleasure to meet Bobby Allison once at Talladega years ago, I just couldn't be happier for the guy. I can't believe I was able to witness a Bobby Allison victory in 2024. I mean, it's just awesome. I mean, this is just lovely news that I hope makes everyone's day just a little bit better, especially Mr. Allison's. who is still breaking records 53 years later. Congratulations to the leader of the Alabama gang, Bobby Allison, and Roll Tide. Looking ahead to this weekend, the Cup, Xfinity, and Truck Series take on the second race of the round of 8 at Homestead Miami Speedway. The Camping World Truck Series looks forward to a more traditional racetrack sandwiched between Talladega and Martinsville. This race is a great opportunity for drivers like Nick Sanchez and Ty Majeski, who are sneaky fast here, while Hyman Eckes look for quiet point stays before the transfer race at Martinsville. The Xfinity Series looks for another calmish race this week at Miami. Cole Custer has been historically very good here, but drivers below the cut line like Austin Hill look for good point stays before taking on the chaotic Martinsville Paperclip in 2 weeks' time. As the NASCAR Cup Series takes on Homestead Miami Speedway, those above the cut line look for good point stays and pray that those below do not spoil the show and shake up the standings heading into Martinsville. Now looking at the rest of the sports world, in Major League Baseball, the Yankees defeat the Guardians 4-1 in the championship series to go to their first World Series appearance since 2009, marking the end of one of the longest World Series droughts in Yankee history, which, boo-hoo, I cry for you, your 27 championships. The Pinstripes will be joined in the World Series by the LA Dodgers after dispatching the Mets 4-2 in their series. The first game will be this Friday and is expected to be a battle amongst titans for the ages. Judge versus Ohtani. Bring it on. The NBA season started earlier this week on Tuesday with the defending champs Boston Celtics defeating the New York Knicks, while LeBron and Suns Lakers beat the Minnesota Timberwolves. And Bronny James did not score a point, which is a small victory for me, as I am currently as productive as an NBA player. Now watch little James drop 30 in the next game while I gain it on the couch. Good basketball. Speaking of basketball, the WNBA wrapped up their season this past Sunday, with the New York Liberty winning their first ever championship, which is apropos since they were also the first ever WNBA team finally getting it done in their 28th try. In the NFL, former quarterback Jay Cutler was arrested last weekend on a DUI and possession of a handgun charge following a traffic incident. The 41-year-old Cutler rear-ended a vehicle, and when authorities made it to the scene, he smelled of alcohol, had bloodshot eyes, and was slurring his speech. And if you don't know anything about Cutler's time in the NFL, this is about par for the course for his on-field antics. Cutler refused a field sobriety test, which is essential when trying to prove you are sober. He would be taken to a hospital while police found 2 firearms in his vehicle, one of which was a loaded handgun. Cutler was given a $5,000 bond and released. No word on how he will plead to the charges pressed against him. Now taking a look at the world of college football, the Struggle Bowl between Tennessee and Alabama was essentially that, until the Vols pulled off a fourth quarter charge to take down the Tide at Rocky Top. Miami escapes again with a win, this time in a shootout with Louisville. Duke wins its first ever game against FSU, which, hey, good for them. Auburn refuses to win again as they blow another double-digit fourth quarter lead against a ranked opponent. Vanderbilt struggles early but pulls off a big win against the juggernaut Ball State. Shocker. Honestly. Illinois got it done against Michigan. Look at you. Look at that. Go Illinois. And finally, the game of the week. Number 1 Texas took on number 5 Georgia. And as analyst Greg McElroy said, everything was pointing to Texas, so Georgia must come up with the win. And that was exactly what happened. The Longhorns seemingly had no answers for the Bulldogs, even after a quarterback swap to rookie Archie Manning. The Longhorns would fall 30-15. Also, there was a call during the game, and some people started throwing water bottles, and that convinced the refs that they made a mistake. Just kind of a odd scenarios there, and then Kirby was complaining about, flagrant calls, and yeah, Kirby's been on a different level tackling quarterbacks and yelling at the refs. It's been a crazy year in the SEC, and good grief, it seems like it's about to get even crazier. With the win, Georgia moves back up the rankings to number 2 in the country, while the undefeated Oregon Ducks, quack quack, take the number 1 spot. Alabama only falls to 15th. Army and Navy remain undefeated and ranked, while Vandy has finally been recognized for their heroic accomplishments and are now 25th. Yeehaw! Ranked matchups next week include number 12 Notre Dame against number 24 Navy, number 15 Alabama versus number 21 Missouri, number 5 Texas versus the eventual winner, number 25 Vanderbilt Commodores, number 8 LSU versus number 14 Texas A&M, and number 1 Oregon versus number 20 Illinois. Honestly, I'm rooting for Illinois. I mean, this is kind of a dream season. Go get you some, Illinois. Just go get you some. Lastly, Kent State becomes the first team to knock themselves out of bowl contention with a strong 0-7 start to the season. 9 other teams look to reach this coveted 7th loss this upcoming week, which also includes teams like Mississippi State and the Troy Trojans. Yep. Also, UTEP won last week, so only Kent State and Kennesaw State remain perfectly imperfect. Wait, hold on. And in breaking news, Kennesaw State actually won a game on Wednesday Night Football against the undefeated Liberty Flames. The team that hasn't been within 2 scores of any other team this year has pulled off the upset, leaving Kent State alone on this nightly quest to remain imperfect on the year. And last but not least, this week is random sport/drunken bar activity you have never heard of. The nutty pastime of conkers. Hearing this name, I don't think it would shock anyone that this is a British pastime dating back to the 1800s, starting out as a children's game before some drunken bar patrons started competing against one another for the coveted World Conkers Championship. This activity involves a chestnut with a hole drilled straight through the middle, where a bootlace is then fed through and tied into a knot, creating a conker. Then the game is exactly what you expect. You whack your conkers together until one busts. Yeah, the last intact conker is the winner. The preferred method of smashing your chestnut and conkers is an overhand downward smash. You have to smash your nut to succeed in this game. The jokes just write themselves, people. Anyway, would you believe it or not that there was recent controversy at the World Conkers Championship? I know, of course there is. And this was on AP News, believe it or not. I saw this on my phone, headlining the news. 82-year-old Dave Jenkins, better known as King Conker, was accused of cheating following his recent victory in the 2024 World Conkers Championship. He was accused of switching his randomly drawn conker with a steel one, giving him an unfair advantage. Though he did have a steel conker in possession, it was deemed that he never used the metal nut in competition, meaning his win stands and he remains King Conker. I love the British. Funny enough, it looks fun to play, especially inebriated. I think at least drinking should be required in this game, as the only thing required are basic motor skills. It would create a great display of athleticism, especially in the finals, as 2 knackered Brits try and fail to smash each other's nut. Looking into the story and telling it to you all, I think I'm talking myself into a trip to the UK next fall to try out some conking for myself. It just looks too much fun. And try conking, because once you conk, you go conkers. Well, there you have it. Another week of racing, sports, and whatever conkers is in the books. Heartbreak and triumph abound, especially for the Conker King. Hope you all enjoyed this episode of JABO. I'm your host, Brendan Bryan, and I will see you all again next time. Now conk responsibly.